I feel like I sound like I'm in a cult because I've never said anything bad about drip. And like we need to fabricate something bad so that I feel more trustworthy when I'm talking about drip. But yeah, I can't do it. It's just, but it has been a great journey. And I'm just very thankful that, you know, my work gets eyes on it and appreciation and the little messages. And, you know, it's invaluable. And then you add income on top of it and it's just too much. Like, is it supposed to be like this? I don't know, but I'm rolling with it.
Welcome to Beyond the Drop episode 3. This week we have Anneli from City of Girls. Anneli began her practice as an illustrative artist in 2007, growing up in a very creative household, and a lot of her inspiration comes from her interest in comics. Anneli describes a period of her life where she felt that she was lost and dead as an artist. But even during difficult and tumultuous times, Anneli always found being drawn back into her craft in the form of doodling in her journals. This led to the, very distinctive style that we see in her work today. We spoke about the skill of balancing all aspects of life on a knife edge, and Anneli shares some, really good advice for anybody wanting to explore their creative side, but might be unable to find the time or fit it into their daily lives. So it was a real privilege to have her on the show and hear more about her journey and more about the concept behind her work. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy the episode. Yeah, I think it's one of those things, going back to your point, is that, listeners wouldn't necessarily know actually that beforehand, if they missed that spaces, before drip, you had a life. And it would be really interesting for us to understand a little bit more about that, a little bit more about your background, where you're based, and a brief history on how you got into art originally. That'd be really nice to hear.
Yeah, like the basics is I started as an artist in 2007. That's when I started my own illustration and artist company. And I don't have a formal education. I did a few courses here and there, but I was convinced that I was going to be a comic artist, and I was convinced that was going to fly. And that didn't happen. But what did happen was one of the teachers said that I think you should look into illustration. And at that time, I was in my early 20s. I didn't even know it was a job, like a proper job. Coming from a different background, I don't know. I just never had anyone around me that did this professionally. I come from a very creative family. My father is a musician. He used to be in a band briefly when we were growing up. And then as time moved, he had to get a different job. But he never stopped making music. My mom is really good at writing poetry and writing in general. And so, they've always been very creative, but in real life, like in everyday life, not as a job per se. So yeah, it was news to me, but I started illustrating, and one of my first clients was, they found me through DeviantArt, and it was a big company who did stuff for Marvel and Disney and, stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, we want to buy some illustrations. And, a couple of months later, someone said, oh, I like you're doing like lowbrow art. And I had never heard that expression, didn't know it was like a pop art thing. And so, yeah, learning where I belonged as an artist, it took some time, but people were very helpful. So I was kind of tiptoeing my way into artist life. And then I just tried to stay there, like doing it for a long time. You have the ups and downs, and coming here was an act of desperation. I thought I was dead as an artist. I had 2 small children at home, and it was hard getting the reach, finding the clients. I couldn't see myself traveling by train again, so long every day, doing like client work on site. That wasn't necessarily stuff I'm great at. Like I can dabble, I can do some graphics and stuff, but I'm actually great at drawing. And yeah, it was just really hard to find my place. And then my friend Justin Moller shouted out, like, have you heard of NFTs? And this was late 2020. And I hadn't, so I read up on it. And then I snuck in. I think I got these Twitter accounts, I think in 2021, or was it 2022? I've been around 2 years. I think it must, yeah. But I was snooping for 1 year. So I think, I was passive. I was just learning. and trying to figure out what it is. How can I, use this for my art? Does it make any sense? Because, the fast pace of the bull market was scary, because I knew that this is how you get burned. If I do something wrong, my artist name will be gone, because I was always doxxed, because my style is you can see that it's my style, and I just figured it would be easier to just be doxxed all the time, or people would, come tell me that someone is stealing my art, but it's me, so it's yeah, it would be weird. But yeah, it was a sneaky way here. Like I was just lurking, trying to learn, and doing it slowly and my way, and eventually City of Girls happened. One of my friends was a developer and said, I can help you build a page. I can, set you up. And he set me up for a 10K collection. And then the bear market, sorry. And I was kind of relieved, because I still was trying to figure out, how to connect the dots, having so many and selling so many. And what do you do with all the people when you kind of, I don't know, try to find your way. So it was nice. I took a break, and not work-wise. I stayed in the space, talked to people, but I decided to wait to mint my stuff. And then I did these small collections. And I was lucky enough to sell 3 collections out. But yeah, it's been a struggle to find my place here, because there were no people doing exactly what I'm doing. So I just had to find my way. And that's how I got here. So yeah, a willy-nilly road, but it suits me.
So yeah, I mean, I remember hearing as well when you mentioned in the spaces that you felt like you were dead as an artist. You reach a certain point and you feel that it's kind of maybe hopeless, and you think,
Yeah.
should I continue doing this?
Yeah.
What was actually happening during that time, if you don't mind me asking, of course?
Oh, it's a good question. I've actually never answered that one. And I think it's easy to assume that, I felt like I have nothing to add, like I'm done as an artist. I have nothing to say, but it was the opposite. I had so much I wanted to say and so much I wanted to do, but real life happened. Family got sick. We had some, scary, a cancer scare. We had like, different really, really hard bits to juggle. My husband was really sick for a year as well. So it was just real life nitty-gritty stuff where I was needed as a human, not as an artist, but as a, taking care of everybody, making sure they're okay. And this went on like, it was super, it was more dramatic for a couple of years, but then, it never just ends, it's kind of like a little hill. So eventually I realized, okay, it looks like we're fine now. Everything is okay, and I can start thinking about work again. But it was a quite long leap from where I had been and where I wanted to go, and I didn't know how to connect the dots, because in my artist life before, I had a completely different style. I did like fashionable ink works and like a little bit sensual and feminine. And I came out as, the troll under the bridge, that kind of, I helped everyone, but I was so scruffy and I wasn't feeling the fashion or ink at all. And I was thinking, what kind of stories can I tell? So yeah, I picked up the stuff I found in my diaries and journals, because I never stopped drawing. I did these little doodles. And lately I had started to make these people in the windows, and because I was living like in a cocoon of my own home where all the action was happening, and I was thinking, it's life. This is how everybody live their life, like they have their own cocoon. So I wanted to kind of showcase that in my art as well, and focus on the everyday person. So that's how I could reconnect to the artist world again.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it kind of sounds like the doodling was actually what kind of like helped you stay latched on to like the art.
It was my comfort. So I did it to comfort myself, and draw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and also with a bit of humor, because I think that's also what helped me to kind of find the the funny side of bad, you know, like there is always a funny side of bad, and I allowed myself to roll a bit in it, and I think that it's a vibe. It's not super clear, but I do have a weird sense of humor. It occasionally pops up in my art as well.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. I mean, your work is like so distinctive as well. As like there's nobody else I've seen who is like the similar style. And you can definitely see there's like a sense of humor in your work. And I suppose that makes sense as well, because I was going to ask the question, you know, how or what is it? What is the subject? Where do you get your inspiration from to actually create the artworks? Is there a narrative that you're following? That kind of thing. It sounds as if there sort of is a narrative, or you're just put kind of real life into your work. Is that the case?
Yes, most definitely. The first cities were more like my diary, where I made a city from my own feelings and observations. And part of it was all me, but it was also people I knew. So that's how it started. But then as the interest grew for myself to draw more cities, I started to zoom out a little bit. So then it was, every city has its own topic. So the first city that I minted, I called Dragon City. And when you look at it, it looks like just, you know, volcanoes and dragons and like a little fantasy city. But it was created while I was thinking a lot about the war in Ukraine. And, you know, we hear a lot, like it's worrisome times in general. And this also happening after a pandemic, you know. So I was thinking about the fear and the resilience and how we kind of need to adapt to the dangerous and hostile environment. And so I wanted to create people that their skin is kind of stone colored, because I wanted them to have adapted to a hostile environment, and they're using the volcano magma as a lava bath. So I was kind of playing with it. So it's about taking what I fear most, and then I play with it, and I make the people the heroes of this topic. So yeah, actually Dragon City is about the war and you know, bad stuff that happens. And Memories of Home and Hearthaven was a city about a bit deeper stuff, like generational struggles of mainly women, but also working class people, how we putter along and we're kind of like the cogwheels of society and the unsung heroes, making things go round and just working, and the small troubles and you know, not so much about the bigger pieces, but like the small things in life. So we have like a twisted house that where there's chaos in the, you know, lower part of the house, and then it's more like their dreams and ambitions as you climb up. And it's also full of ghosts, which is, it could be anything from memories to things you had to give up. So everything I draw has a bit of a meaning and a symbolism behind it. So it's but it's kind of like nostalgia, love, and you know, everyday struggles as a theme in that one. And then the last one, Dada City, that's when I discovered the world, and the world kind of noticed me back. So I was talking to people, you know, from all over the world, and I wanted to do like the crazy, funny, you know, more light-hearted piece that just happened, you know, that was the, yeah. So, but they all have like a different vibe. And Saturnia Greenfire was my first drop on drip. And I brought all the zodiac creatures into it because I realized I want to do something divided in 12, and we have 12 months, 12 zodiacs. And at the time I was very kind of stuck with the dragons, but also reading a romance book with aliens. Don't ask. But it's like when you're too busy, you just want to find funny things to read. So yeah. I was into sci-fi as well. So I was like, yeah, sci-fi, dragons, aliens, sure, and some zodiacs, space theme, but also the everyday vibe. And it was my introduction, like, hello, drip, this is me. And I did draw people, but most of them were not on drip at the time. So yeah, but this round, when I'm drawing the new work, there's a lot of people coming from Drip, and they are being drawn into this piece as well. So
That's cool. I like the sound of that. Nice. I mean that it's yeah, it kind of makes a lot of sense. It sounds like a stupid question, really. It's like, oh, what do you actually you is there something that you use for kind of reference to put in your artwork? But it's something that I was just wasn't able to like do. Back when I like studied art, I was just like, yeah, I don't what inspires me. I don't know really. So it's always like really fascinating to hear,
mm,
um, what people actually base their art off or what inspires them. I think it's always really interesting to see. And there's also a lot that would actually go completely unnoticed,
mm,
unless you speak to the artist or unless you read the description of the art when you walk in the gallery,
yeah.
um, or
But it's
something like that.
funny because it's always your favorite thing. When I think
Mm,
at the end of the day, with so many artists that I talk to, the people who have really strong themes, they were sticking to stuff they loved, you know. So I think the issue is people try to be clever, like they want to be respected, and they think too hard. They don't
mhm,
go for the obvious choice. And I think for me, the obvious choice was always leaning back into my love for comics, but also mixing it with the art that I wanted to make. And also, I have a genuine interest in other people and humans. So to connect them, you know, and draw them, it made total sense for me. But
mm.
I don't think I could have done this when I was in my 20s. So it's just a lucky strike that it happened now eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's obviously very successful as well, and people definitely are drawn to it. So it's really, really nice to see. You recently had a collaboration as well with Simply Eto.
Yes.
Um, and he also mentioned it on last week's episode. You're two very, very different people,
Mm.
and personalities, and you've got very different approaches, different styles of work. With that kind of dynamic, how does that work with a collaboration? It'd be cool to get kind of like behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it worked because um, we're both kind of friendly. So, you know, when
Yeah.
even though we work very differently, when I suggested something, he was like, okay. And I was like, are you sure? Is it okay? Like, can you time manage this? And he was, yeah, I can do it. So I know that I've been in a hurry because I've been juggling a lot of big works lately, and I
Mm.
had some freelance work at the time as well. So I was like, okay, I'm on a tight deadline. I know we have 2 weeks, but I would prefer to have this done as soon as possible. And he just jumped right in, and you know, was very quick to adapt to whatever we were talking about, and you know, trying um, to push the pace a little bit. And I was like, are you sure it's fine? Are you sure it's fine? You know, we can slow down if you want to. But it was also nice. We could just go with the flow. And sometimes I think just friendship helps.
Mm.
Like that's what ties it together, because I got to know more about him, and I learned that he's actually easy to work with. It was fun. He said that he would deliver, and he delivered. Like that helps. So, and it's not as common as one might think. You know, people always, life happens, and that's fine. You know, but he was very, very good at you know, if I said I need this, you know, I would get it, and vice versa. So I hope. I think we'll see what he said later. But it was a wonderful experience, and he's very kind. So I think it's yeah, it's about being professional, but then if you're also nice, it's just, you know, double as great, you know. So that's
Yeah.
that's what ties us together. I think we enjoy working with others and trying new things. So being curious is like half the solution sometimes.
Yeah, that is very true. And I think especially if you're two people who really have big personalities, but also you need to be accepting of other people as well. And
Yeah,
that's the whole point of a collaboration, is that you need to work together on it as well. You need
yeah.
to find a middle ground. So yeah, it was really nice to hear, because just two, like I said, two completely different personalities, but it obviously came together and worked really, really well.
Successful collaboration. I was surprised too, because I was like, I wonder how we're going to do this. But yeah, it just kind of evolved and happened, and
Hmm.
yeah. So it was good.
Is there anybody else you'd like to collaborate with, or that you've thought about kind of working with from Drip?
I actually finished the collaboration today. So,
I was
but
going to
I,
ask you about that, actually. I was going to ask you about that.
yeah. So yes, I have a collaboration coming up with Hachimugen.
Oh,
So
nice.
I am a huge fan of comics, as you know, and lo-fi music. So when I heard and saw, you know, their project, I was like, oh my God, I love it. And yeah, so I think I reached out to him and said like, hi, would you like to do something? And he was like, yes, let's do it. So yeah, we have a thing coming, and we found a way to, you know, make our worlds meet, but still keep their integrity in a way, I hope. So yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm
Fair
very
enough.
pleased. Mm.
Nice. When will that drop? Do we know
On the
yet?
28th.
28th. Nice. I look forward to that.
Yeah, so my drop is 28th, and then he has like we make two. So I have one drop, and on the 29th, I think, is his drop. So 2 days
Awesome.
after.
That's super exciting. Really looking forward to that. And then who is there anybody else who you've got your eye on?
I mean, I want to work with everyone at some point, to be honest. The thing is, I've been so all over the place, you know, learning Drip, reaching out to people, joining spaces, doing these two collaborations, the showcase and Hachimugen. And now I feel like I just need to refocus and finish my own things. But I'm happy that, because I know that when I'm ready, I can just, you know, wave my hand and someone will take it and we can do something. So yeah, I just want to be the better version of myself as an artist, so I don't do too much and too fast and we end up with stuff that I regret. So yeah, I'm pacing myself, so we have, you know, keeping up the quality.
Yeah, I think it's a smart approach, because I think it is a very easy to get overwhelmed. I mean, I've actually had to take a break from Drip a little bit, because I was just like every day logging in and just like constantly like looking at art,
Yeah.
and trying to like get pieces that I didn't have yet, and I just had to take a break last week. I was just like spending too much time on this.
Yeah, and you don't appreciate it as much. Like if you
Yeah,
do it too much, you know, you can, I don't know, something happens. So it's good to take a few steps back so you can look for it, and then you can go sneak back again. So
exactly.
that,
Because it's not going to get any quieter either. It's only just
no.
it's only
Oh
going
my
to get
God.
busy.
Yeah, rest while it's semi-quiet. You know, it's
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be big.
I know, it's gonna be
Yeah.
wild. Okay, so yeah, you've mentioned a couple of times actually that and I know this obviously, that you're very busy.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's not just Drip, it's not just your you know, your work, but it's also your life as well. And you know, I understand like in your personal life that you have kids.
Yes, I have two kids. So
Yeah.
yeah. And when I say my life is busy, it's not that I lead an interesting life. I am a very simple human, I swear. I'm very simple. Like I have a couple of things that I want to do, and that is work, take care of the kids, read my romance books, and, you know, spend some time with my husband. And on a good week, I can kind of make it happen. But the more success I have with work, the more I'm kind of chewing at the other things. So that's why I never plan anything, and I can't be more interesting than this, because yeah, you still want to give everyone what they need. And yeah, and especially the kids, you know, like yeah, they already say like, Mom, you're always in the studio. And I'm like, yeah, but it might be worth it, you know. So it's yeah, it's a balance, and I walk that knife's edge carefully. But I think they also understand and enjoy what's happening, because they're turning 10 and 12, so they're big enough to understand what's going on. They're looking at the numbers. I'm getting, yeah, I actually got help with I got stuck with my animation, and my 9-year-old, she came to me and said, Mom, I think that you need to do like this and this and this, because she's been editing in CapCut. She loves making movies, little movies. And she actually helped me solve a thing. So they're getting so big that they're giving me advice. And I think as a mother, I think it's good to not only show them that I'm the mother that cooks for them and, you know, takes care of them when they're sick. I'm also someone who has a job. And I can also show them what it means, what work is as an artist, because some people think that artists are like people who drink red wine and philosophize and occasionally, you know, paint a little bit or something. It's so much work behind the actual craft. And I think because they're both very artistic as well, I'm thinking like, watch and learn, because you're going to go through this probably in the future as well. You never know, but if they do, you know, at least they have something to lean on when they're trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. That just what you were saying about your, you know, your parents being a big inspiration. It's passing down the generations now.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
and yeah, I mean, 9-year-old using CapCut, it could probably teach me a thing or two too, to be honest, because I'm like absolutely useless with it.
I mean, they're so good. Like they can make anything happen with those phones. Like I'm like, how did you animate this? Oh, I just downloaded this app and it can make like a GIF animation. So I drew this on my phone. And like she doesn't have a tablet and she's already making like brilliant stuff. So yeah, that's. But I also tell them like, if I can get some work done, you know, you can get your own tablet. Like you can get some tools for you as well. That would be nice, you know. So, but yeah, they're patient so far.
Have you got any pointers for anybody who's you know, trying to balance that? You know, people maybe wanting to explore their craft more, wanting to do things that they're passionate about, but maybe don't feel like they can actually balance it with their life.
Yeah, I think pointers, I don't know if it's a pointer, but I would like to advise people to just throw shame away immediately. Like if you have time to do something, then do it. If you don't have time to do something, don't feel bad about it because you don't have time. Like it's just facts. And things aren't like, just because you don't find your way right now doesn't mean you can't find it later. That's the thing. Like people think that, oh, I tried and failed and it wasn't for me. But I think we have to remember that circumstances change all the time. Sometimes we're doing everything right, but we still get it wrong. And it's not it's not necessarily you. It could also be like circumstances, life, anything, you know. And so I think people putting pressure on themselves to be something very quickly is a fast way of getting a bit burnt out, I think, and burn yourself and be kind of mean to yourself. They don't understand that learning a craft, it's like becoming a very good woodsman. Like if I were to make furniture out of wood, you know, if I do it the first time, it's going to look very chunky and clunky, and eventually after 50 years I will know the wood inside out. I know which parts are good and strong, and it goes with any craft. And being an artist is a craft as well. Being a photographer is a craft as well, and musician, everything. But you need to actually become better. You need time. And time is the only thing that people don't like to think about, because time means I cannot be like the young, beautiful, successful person. I cannot be the viral, you know, amazing youth. Some people can, and congrats, but a lot of us cannot, and that's fine. So if you love the craft, please continue and dare to be bad. You know, lean into the bad as well, and just cry yourself, you know, while you're making your stuff and it doesn't look exactly like you wanted, because you will stumble upon things. If you keep working with it, you can never be bad. Like you'll just improve slowly and slowly. And I think growing slowly is the best and most painful way to do it. And it's a terrible advice. And I apologize to anyone young hearing this. I'm sure you can do it better and in other ways as well. But for me, this was the truth. Like I needed the slow growth. I thought I was going to make it when I was like 27, but then I fell flat and, you know, life happened. But here I am feeling the same feeling again. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll make it this time. You know, like when I say make it, I'm talking about like sustainable income. It's quite humble goals really, but
yeah.
And maybe some acknowledgement as well, of course. But even if that doesn't happen, I still love my craft. And I think that way you can never lose. And if you don't love your craft, maybe you need to find out what you do love. You know, maybe you like something different, like lean into stuff that you're drawn to. And some people think, well, it's too easy. I love Star Wars. It's too easy. What can I do with Star Wars? There's plenty you can do. Maybe you like sci-fi. Maybe you like, you know, whatever. You can just run with it, spin on it. Like, so yeah, it's easy and hard at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
Was
good
that a
advice.
weird advice? Was it?
No, I think that's good advice. It makes a lot of sense, and just yeah, I think just spending time or try and spend enough time doing something and to be able to make that decision as well.
Yeah,
As I think a lot of the time these days is that people don't have the inclination to want to spend time, like to your
yeah,
point, is because they don't feel they have it or they don't have the patience to.
yeah,
And I actually don't think where it feels like we're allowed to
yeah.
in like this day and age. It's like everything is going so quickly.
It's true. And I think also depending on which family you're from, maybe your parents or other family members will give you a timeline. Sure, you can do this for a year, but if you haven't, you know, and that's bad. Like I was lucky because no matter how old I am and no matter how successful or not successful I am, my parents and family and husband has always been like my number one fans. Like they've been like, I believe in you, this looks great. They don't care if you know I make it or not. They just enjoy seeing that I keep doing what I love. And that's really amazing support. And I know that it's not possible for everyone to have this, but I also want them to know that when people give you a deadline, they are ruining it for you. So you need to not pay attention to the deadline and do it anyway. So because that's something like people will not applaud you, you know, throughout this journey. Sometimes you will feel like a Golgotha where people are just throwing rocks at you while you're walking. But if you do it for yourself, you're gonna come out stronger. But yeah, definitely don't buy the idea that if you don't make it within a certain time frame, you're doing it wrong. I think you probably do it right if you're slow.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think people maybe overthink certain things and then put themselves off it, which is a shame. But no, definitely good advice is just spend the time, and then if you're not enjoying something, you should probably just think about it. Should you continue doing it, or should you explore other things, other mediums? Just going back to Drip, you've been on, I think it's since I was looking at kind of like your first drops and that kind of thing. I think it was around about September time that you actually joined Drip, or it was at least
September or October, because I remember
your first drop was in October, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a Degen Poets tribute piece. And yeah, I was ready to do this Eternia Greenfire drop. And then I saw people were doing like Degen Poets stuff. And I was like, I love him. I want in. So they put my channel up early so that I could post my Degen Poets little space flight. But yeah, so it was like a false start. And then it started, I think, in November. Yeah, the real drop.
Nice. It was yeah, what I love about your page is that it's kind of like, so you know you've got this kind of catalog of, you know, doodles and works that you've done, but I love the way that you kind of release it in like segments. So, you know, you have this kind of large piece where there's a lot going on. You know, there's a huge narrative. There's lots of little stories going on all over the places. People having conversations and interactions. But what I love about the way that you've kind of shared that on Drip is that you actually kind of get a sliver and you have like a spotlight of those like little interactions in those little segments. And I think that's a really good way to approach it as well. Because otherwise is that people might just look over it or might miss some details. So that's really good. Was that intentional?
Yes. I wanted to do something that leads to a fun drop every week. And because my cities and worlds are so busy, I figured it's perfect to do, like, I call it bite-sized art snacks. And I keep saying it, I want it to catch on, no one is ever catching it on, but it is my bite-sized art snacks. And so I figured I make small portions, and then if you collect them all, you get the big picture in full. So I'm gonna do the same for my next drop. And I think the pieces, there will be more than 12 because it's just huge. So
yes.
But yeah, it's hard though, because you want every piece to matter. You want every piece to have something that means something. So for me, that's why I need so many weeks, because I finish it and then I need to section it and make sure that every section has that little, thing added to it. And then there's the rarities, and I still don't know if I'm gonna make the rarities similar, because I did find that in retrospect, some of my drops were a little bit repetitive, because sometimes the alien was super tiny, or there was, I didn't make like huge differences visually. So they look quite similar when you see the common, rare, and legendary on some. So I figured like I need to be more clever. So I'm thinking maybe I'll offer a very zoomed in picture of something hidden within the picture for the rare and legendary. So kind of like something sticking out with something written on it, or something. So we'll see if I can figure it out. But yeah, still thinking about it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how like the format of drip is making you think about these things and how actually people are going to engage with them.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I like it. I always like the playfulness. So that's what, keeps the fun in what I do as well. So I'm challenged, and then I kind of want to, surprise people. So, someone that goes, oh my God, I saw this, that's the best feeling. That's the stuff I'm hunting for. So yeah, let's see. You don't always make it, but I'm trying to lean in that direction. So let's see. Yeah.
I love it. And that's intermission, right? That's the next piece that's coming.
Yeah, intermission but that's just the in-between stuff. So the stuff I'm talking about now is more like the rarities and like every piece, really. I want there to be a surprise, but yeah, it's more fun if you do like the hidden stuff. But yeah, intermission is full of surprises, I guess, for people who didn't know me 2 years ago. So but there are some really old OGs that followed me into the Discord a long time ago and who have seen this before. But I think for most people it's going to be a surprise, the stuff coming out now.
Awesome. That's really exciting. I can't wait. Well, one question I wanted to ask you is that because you've kind of you've spanned two worlds really. So you were essentially an artist in previously in a Web2 world.
Yeah.
And now you're you've migrated over to Web3 and you're on Drip.
Yeah.
A lot of I mean, I don't really have many of these conversations because it's quite painful, but I feel like Web2 folks struggle a lot with the idea of like crypto NFTs because of the bad rep that it's had in the past, scams, all that lot. And
yeah,
I was just, from your perspective as somebody who's kind of spanned both worlds, what do you think would make it easier to entice, say, Web2 creators over to the art space in Web3?
I wish I knew, because I have had to deal with a lot, like coming from both the traditional gallery world and Web2 artists and like social media artists, and coming to Web3 and crypto and NFTs. There were people who couldn't stand me. Like I've been around since 2007, and a lot of people have followed me for a really long time, and I supported them back. And then all of a sudden they were writing mean comments like, I cannot believe you did this. Like,
in
so
terms of like NFTs, because of NFTs?
Yeah, for
really?
doing, like when I said like, hey, I'm here, I found this, check it out. Completely wrong thing to do on Instagram, I can tell you, especially 2 years ago. So yeah, but people said that they couldn't believe that I become such a bad person, basically. And I was very disappointed, because I knew that they had not read up on the topic.
Yeah.
Like they just saw something and ran with it. And I also came to realize that it was a good thing for me to experience, because I always talk about uplifting people, and I try to bring everyone in. Like when I find something, I share it. And I came to realize that some people were there just for the candy that I share.
Right.
They were not, there to support me back or even interested in listening to why I was doing these things. And as I try to onboard more people from, Web2 or the old gallery world, because I can see how they would fit in so good. Like I could see how what they're doing now would be amazing, in as a project or, on Drip or whatever. But they're hesitant. And some people also talk about the fear of being shunned from your current, community that also buy stuff on your shop. So their fear is that people will leave them once they find out they went to the crypto NFT place, and if they don't make it here, their whole income is gone. So it is a real fear. It is an unnecessary fear in terms of what I think needs to happen. But maybe it doesn't need to happen now for them. Like, I get it, and I could never tell them to gamble with their income. So these days they usually say, oh my God, I know I'm going to regret it. Thanks, but no thanks. But good luck. I get a good luck these days. So they want to watch
progress, I guess.
Yeah, they're just watching me, and they're like, if she screws up, I'm going to be like, whew. And if she doesn't, then I might, enter later. And I get it. Everyone is kind of vulnerable. And I think we need to address the fact that people are hating on NFTs and crypto still, and people are scared. And that's like a big, big issue. When they say like, oh, I don't get it, like the tech is confusing, I'm like, no, it's the fear. It's definitely the fear, because it's not that hard.
No.
So yeah.
You don't need to know like 90% of it anyway. Like you just use the platform, and it's just, why would you not want kind of provenance over your work?
Exactly.
Like digital provenance over your work. It just seems
I
like
know.
a no-brainer.
That's what I keep saying. But yeah, they're not ready, because they think everyone is going to stampede away from them. So
yeah, it's fair enough. Well, I mean, when your livelihood depends on it, it's not much choice you've got, really.
Yeah. So I get it. So there's no, like, the people who left and were kind of rude and mean, they're gone now, and that's fine. It wasn't a lot of people, but I was still surprised. And the people who are still around, they're like very curious, and I sometimes share like, oh, I'm on Drip now, 40K following, hey, because I know that they're not getting any following. Nice. And it's not, I don't tease them, but I'm more like, hey, still looking good, check this out, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, nice. Keep trying.
Yeah.
It's just game theory at the end of the day. It's like perfect game theory.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, fingers crossed you'll tempt some people over. I only have a couple more questions for you, really, to touch on. And one of them was actually to do with NFTs, of course.
Yeah.
And an event that you're speaking at, right, in April, NFT NYC. I was hoping you could just share a little bit about that and how that came about.
Yeah. Well, I figured that because I want City of Girls to be a global art project. That's like the main vision, and then what comes from it. I'm working on a coffee table book full of pictures, and I get some help writing it from a writer friend who is in New York by accident. Like, he lives there now. And so I have these grand plans. And then as I was thinking about it, I saw that NFT NYC was opening up for speakers, and I figured they're not going to go for me anyway. So I might as just apply, So I did it. And I got in. So they wanted to hear about how you become a full-time artist and working with NFTs, basically. I was open to talk about most things, but I think it's important to get out of your comfort zone. Like I was telling you before, it's not a joke. I'm not just saying it. I am a very simple human. I didn't even own a passport. So I just got a passport now. Haven't had one in a decade. Didn't fly anywhere in a decade. So I'm going to go from my small town in Sweden where I live now and fly over there and meet a lot of people. And I'm just thinking it's a little bit crazy in one way, but it also makes sense in terms of my goals. So I'll just go there and do it. And I'm sorry if I'm gonna suck. I hope not. I'll do my best. But yeah, it's a journey I'm on, and part of that journey is about spreading what I'm doing, and inviting more people to join and be drawn into my cities, and see what happens. It's an organic art project. I want it to grow in any directions it wishes to go, so that's also part of the beauty, and makes probably my days so much happier. And I don't feel restricted. So yeah, it's going to be good for me. But yeah, let's talk again after NFT NYC and see how it went.
Yeah, we'll do a recap. I can't wait.
Are you going there?
No. I'll be honest, I actually didn't even know it was happening until I was reading up on you.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even have thought of going to an event like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. I think it was New York Times who described it as the Woodstock of art. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I need to be here. Like, that's exactly what my artist soul needs right now. So
yeah, from what you've told me, it sounds very fitting. From what you've told me about yourself.
Yeah, but I'm also someone who have never been there before, so I don't know. It could be just talk, but yeah, let's hope. I'll see what it will bring. But yeah, a little adventure doesn't. Yeah, it's good.
I love how you've kind of cut out the middleman as well. You've after 10 years of not going anywhere, like anywhere else, is like you go straight to New York. It's like the busiest place.
But it's the best. Like, honestly, I need to be very efficient. So I'm not looking for the small venues. I'm like, go big or wait until you can go big. I don't have time to, putter around. And I don't mean it like in a bad way. Like, I love going to small and mid-sized venues, but for this to count, and because I know in my heart I will not be traveling every week, like this is like a once a year, maybe twice a year thing that I can allow in my life right now. So I really want it to matter, and be as good as possible. So I always start at the top. People always say, well, start locally. No, you have to aim where you want to go. You start there, because otherwise it's so hard, I don't know.
Straight in the deep end, but that's how you learn, and that's how you experience like new and exciting things very quickly. So you've mentioned about how you have a website and you have a shop as well. How long is your shop been going?
I started it in August, I think. Was it August or September? No, September maybe even. So it's pretty new, and I haven't pushed it much. But it's a place where I put all my crazy designs and make stuff. So I've made this shirt. So this one I put on just for you today. But it's also nice to just show that, yes, I do make stuff. And I make posters. I'm thinking of putting up the drip works there as well. I was talking to Vibu as well about, the opportunity to connect the shop to drip as well. So, you can access everything everywhere. And it could be possible. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, you can find anything from mugs to clothes. And it's, let's see here, cityofgirls.shop. So it's super easy to remember. And then I have a website, which is poorly updated. And like I said, I hate web design. That's not my forte at all. That's not the kind of design I've been doing. So it is poorly made by me, but there's information on it, and you'll be able to find stuff. And that's cityofgirls.io. So feel free to check them out, and you can always come to me. My Twitter account, cityofgirls_NFT. I'm happy to answer any DMs and questions or comments. So if you need to find something, I'm usually available, because even though things are going well and speeding up, I still have time to read the comments. So if anyone has like an important question or just a curious question, I can usually see it and reply to it.
Good. That's good to know. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think when I messaged you about this, is that you were back within, well, like very, very quickly. So
Yes, I'm always like, it's not that I'm always on my phone, but you timed the window where I was probably lounging in the sofa after a busy day, and I'm not available, like I cannot move for an hour. I just scroll on my phone, and then I need to get back to busy life again.
yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I think what I'm gonna aim for, I'm gonna get an egg jumper. I think was the one that
Are you
really
gonna buy one?
I think I will, yeah, at some point. Because
No.
it looks awesome.
I should make you a special one though, like because it's still slow and beginning times, so you can actually ask for stuff. I'm gonna put one of my friends' PFPs on a shirt so she can wear it. She has like yeah, it's a girl we're always joking about, and she wants it on a shirt, so we're gonna make it happen. And you can also, so if you don't find anything you like, but you have like a clue of stuff you've seen from me that you might like on a shirt, just poke me, because I can hook you up, okay?
I like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Personal service. Cool. I'll have a think about that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then, yeah, one final question. And it is different actually to the last 2 times I've asked this question. So usually it'd be the case where, who was your favorite drip creator? But I'm putting a different spin on it this time. So it's going to be, instead of your favorite, who would you like to shout out on drip? And you've already mentioned Hachimugan, so you can't mention them.
Oh God. They're all so lovely. That's like, I'm really feeling the pressure now, because they're super sweet, honestly.
Yeah.
Such a good crowd. Let's see here. I'm gonna just there's a new artist coming now, and she fled from the war in Ukraine, and she can draw using both hands at the same time. Have you seen her, Ambi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my shout out goes to this fierce woman who keeps doing these amazing artworks and recording them while she's drawing, like no pressure or anything. She just makes sure she rigs the camera and just draws. And she's going to do this for Drip now. And yeah, she deserves a huge shout out, because we've been talking about how hard it is just to be a human being and an artist. Now imagine going through war with kids as well on top of this, and then keep pushing, so that's the level of determination I wish I have as well, but I will never find out, hopefully, because she's just been through so much. And I really, really admire her, because she just keeps at it. And she seems like, yeah, we've known each other a little bit in the past, like our ways crossed paths, so to speak, before. But yeah, I really like her, and we're getting to know each other more now. And I think the work she does is very unique. I mean, so yeah, not only has she shown such dedication to art, she also found like a very, very fun take on it. Like I haven't seen anything similar. So yeah, my biggest shout out to Ambi.
Nice.
Ambidextrous. Yeah.
It's, I think the tag ambidextrous nude or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We shouldn't forget the nude, because she's a mother as well, and she has done these beautiful female portraits. So yeah, it's a good bit, that bit, but we don't know the Drip. If there's censorship, like I don't think it's fine-tuned yet what we allow and not allow. So I think just do less nude for now.
Fair enough. Well, no, good shout out. I think I had absolutely no idea that she was from Ukraine. I didn't know the background there, so that's something I've learned. And yeah, how how the hell do you actually continue doing what you're doing after all that? It's absolutely mad. But
yeah, and moving countries, and just not having the safety nets that you used to have. So it's just, the more you think about it, the more in awe I am, with this woman. And she also talks about it. She's in today's spaces. So if you listen to the recording, you can hear her talk about it a little bit.
Oh, nice. I must admit, because I was listening to it for a little bit, but I was working at the same time, so I had to jump off. But I'll have to go back to it. I've bookmarked it, so nice. Okay, well, thank you. It's been absolutely lovely speaking to you and getting to know you more. So I really, really appreciate you coming on.
It was
And
my pleasure, really.
I'm
And
glad.
I was gonna be, I was gonna nag on you to, bring out your own inner artist, but we'll do it in DMs later, okay?
Yeah. Well, at some point, I mean, I don't even know what it is. I suppose I need to find my doodle. I need to find
Yeah,
my doodle.
find your inner doodle. I'll be your guide. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
to do it. I'll have to do it. I'll have to figure it out. But
Yeah.
I suppose, yep, it's been real pleasure, like learning more about your life and your background, and it's nice knowing that you are now you are alive, and you're not, you went through this kind of dark period in your life, and you've got through the end to the end of it. So you're shouting at other people,
Yeah.
but also yourself as well. As that, I mean, life gets in the way, and you cracked on, and it's really nice that you're here and sharing your work with everybody.